Having fitted one replacement door, maybe made a bit of a botch of that because I didn't quite get the rubbers in place. The colour match was awful. I tried taking off the white marker and then scratched all the paintwork of the gloss work, trying to get that off. Not a very good result. And I also put in extra support on the hinges to try and level the door up. Well, the door's perfectly level, that worked fine. But the trouble is, the door doesn't open and close fully. It takes a bit of a slam to get it to close. So I haven't done it quite right. But I've also hit that bloody pillar again, and again I've damaged the door. So rather than trying to repair that, I've invested in yet another door. This arrived a few days ago. I wasn't sure if the colour was going to match, but when I look at them side by side, it's actually pretty spot on. I don't know if it shows on camera, but it looks very, very slightly lighter than the Volvos. There's no glass in this door, but it does have the internal workings there. The door panel is in place, but the motor to drive the window winder is missing. That's a matter, I use the one I've got. The electrics are all in place, so I can reuse those, but there's no window glass, and there's rubber from the inside missing. However, the trim does match with the Volvo's original. But that door handle has some sort of sensor in it, which I don't recognise. I'll just swap that out for my original handle. This bolt is a Torx drive T40. Very tight. I'm a little bit careful as I loosen this, because at the moment the door is only supported at the outer edge. Right, that's that bolt out. Next is to try and undo this electrical connector. With the strap disconnected, I can now open the door wide enough to reach this connector. It's quite hard to get in here and have a camera view as well. You need to put a screwdriver under here and lift. Well, let's hope we can get this out. Oh, for fuck's sake, man. I can't see, I can't work, I can't get the right bloody tools. The things want to fight you every step of the way. I've got full better to do than just piss about with this all the afternoon. This one piece of crap. I have the door resting upon this trolley, so I can wheel it away once it's free. And then two wooden blocks underneath that. To start with, it was only supported at one end. As I have undone the blocks, the door has dropped slightly and is now supported along the blocks. I'll do the bottom two first. Oh, that seems a bit tighter now. This door is trying to move. Yep, that feels tighter. It's now actually, it's almost fully resting on the wood. As I say, I've got to watch for this trying to kick out at the bottom here. Either move away from me or move back towards me. don't know if I mentioned this already, 10mm heads. No, I think it's because that's resting on it. I might go and get this with an open-ended spanner. I don't think you need to see all this. And that's it. The door is now free to move. Just having a quick look at these latches before I start. That one moves fairly free, it's a little bit stiff. But this one, oh, it's really quite stiff. So I think what I'll do is I'll blast some lube onto it. And hopefully that will free it up a bit. Might as well do the two of them while I'm here. Oh, that feels instantly better. Like this chap. Oh, oh no, very stiff. Mind you, the more I work it, the better it gets. Might buy a lot more lube in there. These are you can actually see the rust coming out of that one, so that is starting to rust, and that's better. That feels a lot freer now. That's more like it. I'm glad I checked this. That one's really nice. This one's still, you can actually hear it grinding. I think that needs pulling apart and doing properly. Now, next job is to lift the replacement door onto that roller. Hopefully it won't topple off. corner out. In loosely at the bottom. I'm not entirely convinced that this bottom bolt is in properly. I think it's just hanging by the proverbial thread. So I'm going to get 2 more bolts in, start tightening up the ones at the top. I've got to get the spacers in as well. God knows how that's gonna, I don't know, it's reaching sort of. Fortunate thing is, without the pane of glass I can get my shoulder under and give her a little bit of a lift. And that's that thread started. Now hopefully I can get the last bolt in at the bottom here. And that will be all 4 done. Well, that's actually gone in fairly straightforward. Surprisingly easy. Having now got the threads on all 4 bolts, what I can now do is put the spacer in the top and start tightening up the top. I don't want to tighten the top right up, thinking about it, because if I tighten it right up, just lay down there a minute, if I tighten it right up I won't have enough manoeuvring space to get the bottom spacer in. But there's almost an argument to say maybe I'd be better off putting that bottom spacer in now. Because at the moment all the pressure is on the bottom bracket as it tries to hinge down, and so that pressure would hold that spacer in place. Well, that's the door on. Obviously the scrape marks are distracting. The colour is a close match, if not a perfect one. And it's close enough. Yes, and of course we've got that damage. Right, this bent bit at the end here, I'm going to try and batter it straight if I can. It is slowly coming, slowly coming. Yep, that's kind of straightening out. Well, it's better. It comes into line once it's shut. That handle's got to be changed, but before we do that, I want to get the motor in there so I can get the glass in place. So what that essentially means is that I need to start stripping down the old door. So let's get on with that. Of course, the first thing is to remove the panel. I'm rocking about a bit. There's a panel here that needs to come out, and there's a screw within it, and I can't lift the panel out until those screws are out of place. Right, a flatter plastic tool. Pops that panel off. T25. That's that one loose, T25. That's that one loose. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, why is it not? Oh, there we go. Now the harder thing. Have to lift it off over this. Oh, and I've gone wrong already because I need to take that off. Now to remove the speaker, it has to be, excuse me, it has to be levered slightly that way before pulling forward. And this is because the way the catches work on this thing. There we go, it's out, and I've actually managed to chip the edge of that. Not very clever, but never mind. Nice easy disconnect. There's a little push-in tab just there to unplug it. Push the little tab in and it releases. That's the speaker off. Now, with that out of the way, I should now be able to lift this up off the edge. There we go. There's this, which needs to lever out. It popped out by itself, actually made it a lot easier for me. Then there's these two connectors, yeah, which both have little tabs on them. Push the tabs in, pull out the connectors, and that leaves that part of the door pretty much the same as the one we've got there, apart from the motor. I'm going to have to take the motor off. Check what size these are. It's too large. Just the right size, and that is T30. Before I do that, I've got to push that little tab in, just there, and disconnect the electrics, just like that. Then that motor with 3 bolts will just lift off from there. Well, if I go the right way, that's actually loose. It's slightly worried because that's loose. There's a potential here once I remove this motor, that window will just fall. Which it didn't. And a single module motor. Then we'll take the mirror off next. T25 again. To remove the mirror, very straightforward. Only 2 bolts. I'm going to have to be careful though, because I don't remove the 2 bolts and then have the mirror fall to the ground. These are Torx drive, as many of the bolts on this car seem to be actually. And that's the mirror free. The next job is to wind down the window. And the way I'm going to do that is using a flat screwdriver. I'm going to wind away at this gear. Excuse my shaky camera work. Wind away at that gear while pushing down on the glass at the same time. Well, that worked out a lot easier than I thought it would. I actually only had to use my hands to push down on the glass and it wound down. Now, I only need to take it down about 1/3 of the way, because what you're aiming for is to get those bolts, if I can do it, that bolt and its compatriot over here, that bolt, in line with these holes so they can be undone, and then the window pane can be lifted free. They're 10mm head bolts. They only need to be loosened, not completely removed. Loosened enough so they lose their grip on the pane of glass. It's a rare occasion when anything goes to plan. The clamps are not present on the replacement door. So I've now got to open up this panel and I've got to get in there to put the clamps on. And of course, to put the clamps on means I've got to take the panel off the other one. Right now, with the glass in and the door mirror on, everything tightened down. I've just got that trim to put on the outside here. Everything plugged in. I find I have a spare wire. Sorry, not that one. That one. I don't know what it's for, but it wasn't on the original door, so I'm just going to leave it tucked in behind there and unplugged. Okay, we've got the power motor on, plugged in. Ready for the door panel to go on. I've got to put that piece of trim back on there. And I've got to put the speaker back on there. And everything's got to be tested, of course, to make sure it works.